And we're back with segment 3 of the TMCJ podcast named
Blue
Subject to Change.
segment.
God damn it, you interrupted my intro.
Sorry,
Uh, no,
I'm
it's
so excited about my segment.
Yeah. TMCJ podcast named Subject to Change. Segment 3, Wild Card. What do you have for us this week, Blue?
Woo! Okay. Well, something we were discussing last week was weird Audible books. And I have actually been looking at some pretty weird books this last week. I haven't been able to get much reading time. I got about 4 hours into this slightly odd book, which is all about hypnosis and aliens.
We went down a rabbit hole. I want to just, side note here, looking at, trying to find the shittiest books we could.
Oh, yeah.
Dear God.
There were some really weird books. Some of them we thought were a bit too weird, really. So they are out there if you do want to find them. But I felt like this had it's kind of like it's kind of like reading something from someone who shares a very different idea of the world than you do. I do not believe in okay. This is a flip-floppy topic because I believe there could be aliens out there. But before you sign me off as a crazy, I don't think we've ever actually met any aliens, and certainly not to the extent that some people suggest that we have.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think hypnosis. I don't know. I'm dubious about hypnosis because I've never had someone try and hypnotize me. To the best of my knowledge, no one's hypnotized me.
He still does not suspect a thing.
Yes, Alicia's doing very well with the mind control. So yeah, I don't know. There's merits to each of them, which I don't know enough about to comment on. But so this book is written in a factual sense, so it's not a fiction. And the first story, which I think I'm probably nearing the end of it, because I'm several hours in. But it's all about this hypnotist lady meets someone who the form of hypnosis that she uses is one that allows her to talk to someone in their previous life. Okay. So obviously the current life you're living. So not anything that you've experienced in your life, but I guess what their soul inhabited before that person was born. Yeah. Again, I don't know the science. If there's science behind it,
the science.
Yeah, so she's talking to this other lady, and this other lady's like woken up, and she's in this deep hypnosis. She is a man in the medieval era. And it goes into detail of I have brown hair and brown eyes, and I am the prince of a local king, etc., etc. And I love looking at the stars. And an old man approached me one day and told me that he came from the Pleiades, which is a star system. And everyone else at the time just sees pagan gods and things. They don't understand the true nature of the universe.
And then he high-fived me and gave me 1,000,000 ducats.
And it keeps going back to his story where he becomes he grows older, he travels the world, he's got this special message that he has to hand on to the next prodigy, and he never ends up finding the prodigy, and then he gets put in a capsule of light and transported across the universe to speak to extraterrestrial beings and give a seminar, basically, on what went wrong on Earth. And extraterrestrial beings, by the way, and this is how they are described,
okay,
look like small humans with oversized heads, and they glow silver.
So it's the gray aliens.
Yeah, it's the absolute like most generic idea of an alien. Um, and there's a point where I kind of stopped when I was like, because it started off on Earth and kind of just being some crazy theories, and I said like he's standing on some distant galaxy, giving a seminar to aliens. Like, what the fuck? Surely there's so many things wrong with this.
It's a marketing conference.
Ugh, right? And when he was back on Earth, he was walking around. He was like, "Ah, I visited Gaul." By the way, I'm not sure how long Gaul was a thing. Is where even is Gaul?
Gaul is
You know about
France. Gaul is so with the Romans, the Roman Empire. Again, random history lesson. The Roman Empire referred to what is commonly seen now as France as Gaul.
Right.
Also, some bits of Germany. Basically anything from the Alpine mountains that divide France and Spain, all the way over to the Rhine, the Rhineland.
Okay.
That is what the Roman Empire referred to as Gaul. So most of that is modern day France.
Okay. Well, it's set in the medieval era, right? Sorry,
That's
the
already
person. Yeah, exactly. He says he visits Gaul, so I'm like, was Gaul a thing in the medieval era?
It depends on when you're talking about. Gaul, quote unquote, was something that, again, it was from the Roman context. So the Romans referred to Gaul pretty much all the way up until... Oh god, when did the Western Roman Empire fell around 400 AD, I think?
Right.
I might be a little bit off there. But what people normally think of as the medieval era starts around somewhere between 900 and 1000 AD. So
Yeah.
you're talking about centuries after the Roman Empire fell. I mean...
And the other place they mention, which really threw me, was Liverpool. Now I'm like, when was Liverpool?
Gaul and Liverpool. I mean, to be fair,
Yeah.
Liverpool, it probably existed for a while. It just was called something different.
Yeah, I mean, it's when I hear Liverpool, I think of modern day Liverpool. So maybe it's just been around for a lot longer than I realized. But medieval Liverpool, it doesn't sound right. I don't know.
There's quite a few. Yeah,
There's so many things wrong with it.
So I personally, having watched a fair number of conspiracy theory videos and stuff like this, I can already anticipate the counter argument to what you're saying. It's that, but their brain just doesn't contain the name of the thing at the time, so it's substituting in words that are there to talk about the place.
Okay. Yeah.
So don't get too hung up on the terminology, but yeah, both of those seem wrong.
Yes. I mean, yes. Press conferences in space seem a bit...
Honestly,
far-fetched.
I believe press conferences in space over medieval Gaul and Liverpool.
Yeah. So those are just... As a story, not a bad story. As a reality, I don't believe fucking word of it.
So I've been kind of just letting you talk because I wanted to hear the full synopsis before I jumped in with my thoughts.
Very cut down version of several hours of listening time, but you got the essence.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't know. I agree with you in the initial point you were making about like the whole alien thing. I think anyone who states unequivocally that there are no aliens out there is a moron. They have no idea the full scale of the universe. Like, the number of galaxies out there. Just the number of stars in this galaxy. The number of habitable planets. There are millions out there. There's going to be some kind of extraterrestrial life. We haven't found proof of it. Actually, that's not true. We found extraterrestrial bacteria on both Mars and one of the moons of Jupiter. So, technically, we've already found aliens. But they're aliens...
False data. It's all in California.
Anyway, but there's inevitably going to be some kind of like macro fauna on some kind of like exoplanet, right?
Right.
Out there somewhere, whether it's intelligent or not, and whether it's
Yeah.
that's where it starts to get dubious when you talk
It'll
about
be
like,
the goddamn Mars ants or something.
yeah, exactly. It gets dubious when you start talking about them not only being intelligent at the same level of evolution as us, around the same time as us, because you got to realize human race is only 100,000 years old, or
Yeah,
so, and so that's a blip in the memory of the universe. There could have been other massive intelligent civilizations. Maybe they wiped themselves out a million years before we were even here. So that's where it starts to get dubious. You're kind of like you need some proof when you get to that point, because it's you're getting into massive speculation territory. So I'm with you there. But I've heard tons of these stories about people who are transported through their mind to other worlds and other times.
Yeah, I don't get the whole another life thing because I don't know whether I believe in spirits slash
We
souls.
we've talked about this, yeah, a few times. So I am Catholic, and I do
Yeah,
like subscribe to that faith. Maybe not to everything, because I also am from Boston, so we tend to have a sarcastic outlook on everything.
yeah,
But I do believe that there is kind of that unseen aspect of life. Like there's a physical realm, but I do think that there's, and part of this, the scientist in me goes back to the fact that we, at this point, the generally accepted theory is that there's about 11 dimensions or so. Like
Okay.
that's 11 dimensions is the currently accepted, like in the realm of physics, that's what we think, constitutes the universe. 11 dimensions. We operate technically in 4 of them. There's the 3 dimensions of movement, up, down, left, right, kind of the XYZ coordinates.
yeah.
But then there's also the 4th dimension, time, which we are moving through time, although we don't have direct involvement with that.
Okay.
But
I mean,
then the theory
time is a
is
human construct.
yeah, well, yes, but it's also a measurable dimension. Like time in the
suppose. Yeah,
time in the
yeah.
sense of like 12 hours in the day, a week, a year. Like, yes, that is a construct. It's a way for us to measure the movement of the universe, essentially. But there's another 7 dimensions that doesn't account for, that those 4 dimensions we operate in. So it's very easy for me to like reconcile the spiritual and the scientific portions of my mind in that regard, because there's tons out there that we haven't explored and can't experience. So that maybe is a little bit too deep for this podcast. Jeez, what a tonal shift we had from the first 2 segments where we were joking and telling stories, and now we're talking about existential, like, existence.
I just wanted to find a silly Audible book, and this is what I've got.
And here we are. So I won't say too much more about that, but I think that I take that sort of what is it? Hypnotism and transportation and aliens and going into past lives. I take that with such a massive grain of salt. I'm fairly certain that 90% of those people are so full of shit.
Yeah. So it's like I can't prove not, so I'm not going to call them an asshole, but I don't know, I don't believe in it, and I don't think they can do that, because otherwise they would be very, very powerful people, and we would be ruled by shaman, and
yeah,
maybe
we are ruled by shaman, just the good ones.
Sorry, are you saying Boris Johnson is a good shaman?
I mean, he must be summoning something
with that
stutter. with that stutter, he has to be summoning something. For the American listeners, Boris Johnson is currently the Prime Minister of the UK.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because I know who he is, because I pay attention to international politics, but I guarantee you, most Americans have no idea who the fuck he is.
Okay. Yeah, he's a bit of a. Imagine if a Teletubby had supreme power. It's kind of how I see it.
That's a really good
Um,
description.
yeah. Assuming you have Teletubbies over
We do, yes. I remember.
there. Okay,
Well,
good.
I mean, so I know what it was. It was after my time as a child, but my mother ran a daycare, and I worked. I helped out with it, and so
Yeah.
the little kids they would watch Teletubbies, and so
Apparently,
I'm familiar with it.
apparently the Teletubbies average about 7 foot tall.
Is that
Like they are
including? Is it?
monsters.
Hold on. Is that including the antenna? Because I feel like that has to add like
Uh,
6 inches.
oh yeah, probably. I'm probably about the same height. They're still very big.
The same height as a Teletubby.
Oh, I wonder if one of them got fat, would they have like a flat screen?
I mean, to be. Oh my god. That was
Look at
such
the
a
inches
shit.
on that boy.
That was such a shitty joke. I should not have laughed that hard at it. But just the mental image.
Oh,
Oh my god. Okay,
I'm sorry.
before I forget my point. So that was what you looked into and listened to for an
Yep.
audiobook. I did not do my homework properly. I got as far as finding a bunch of like, so I was trying really hard to find a bad book, like literally a shitty audiobook. Amazon, again, throwing shade at you, Amazon, does not have a feature to look at like lowest, like to reverse sorts. You can see the lowest rated things first. So I would have had to scroll through 75 pages. So I was trying to find books online and lists of bad audiobooks. And I stumbled across this list on Goodreads.com. The name of this, the name of this list is "Who Let These People Write a Book?" Right
Yeah.
at the top, number one, First Step
50 Shades?
to Forever by Justin
Oh.
Bieber.
Oh yeah, no, you sent me this list. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this was the one that got me. So describing the cover, and if I remember, I'll put a picture up of this cover because it's fucking priceless. So it think like the generic Jersey Shore douchebag, like
Is this first 2 steps to forever? Or,
No. This is that was the first one on the
Oh.
list. This is the one that made me laugh the most.
Yeah.
Washboard abs, Jersey Shore douchebag, t-shirt pulled halfway up. He's throwing out the peace sign. He's got this fucking spray tan and a shitty haircut.
Yeah.
And
Give us the name.
the title of the book is "Here's the Situation: A Guide to Creeping on Chicks, Avoiding Grenades, and Getting in Your GTL on Jersey Shore."
I'm assuming GTL's a car, right?
Well,
Gran
a
Turismo.
GTO is a car. I don't know what a GTL is.
I don't know.
Maybe
Gran Turismo Leggett?
I legit I have no idea. Okay. They actually have like questions readers have asked about the book. Like on Amazon you can post a question and it'll say like, people can answer it, people who have bought it. Top question: what the fuck is this?
Oh my god. Okay, right, hang on. So I've just looked up GTL, right?
Okay, what is it?
First thing that comes up is it's a business that refines natural gas, but which I was pretty sure it wasn't. A GTL is a Jersey Shore phrase, which that makes me sick just saying that.
Yep. Okay, go on.
It means gym, tan, laundry.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that makes it so much worse than.
All right. Let me.
Oh.
I just saw something on this list that I didn't see the first time. The book is by Mike, quote unquote, the Situation Sorrentino, and Chris Mills. Chris Mills is probably the person who wrote the book. This guy just applied his name. And
Right.
about the author, Mike the Situation Sorrentino, publicly known by his nickname The Situation, is an American television personality, model, and author who appeared on the MTV reality show Jersey Shore starting in 2009.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I wanted so bad for there to be an audiobook version of this. There wasn't one. So, or not one that I could find at least. So I didn't end up. I was going to talk about a shitty book that I've read in the past, not listened to audiobook form. I was so disappointed that there wasn't an audiobook of this, because it would have been perfect. I keep looking at the reason I keep breaking out laughing is because I keep looking at the picture on my computer screen, and every single time I fucking start laughing again. All right, I gotta minimize that because I'm just gonna giggle for the rest of the podcast if I don't.
Yeah. So the point.
Well, the point is, apparently there's tons and tons of books out there, and in these days of digital media publication, dear God, you can just put out whatever shit you want.
Back in the day of tape cassettes, my family used to listen quite a lot to audiobooks in the car, and I remember the worst one we ever had was one called Mercedes Ice.
Mercedes Ice.
And I for the life of me, I can't remember what the actual main plot story was, but I think it was about the life of a family that were kind of down and out. They were living in a huge apartment building, and at the end, one of them left the cooker running in the flat, and they all ended up coming back to that flat. It exploded and killed everybody, and that was how it ended. Everyone just got blown up by the cooker. And it was this terrible story. It was
So the book that I was going to talk about, because I didn't want to come here with nothing. There was a book that we had to read back in high school. I don't know if your schools in the UK did this, but we had something called summer reading. Like we're off during the summer, but we depending on like what our English class was, we had to do something during the summer. So
book week and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you were in like the standard level class, then you had to read one book. If you were in like the college prep class, you would have to read 2 books, and if you were like me, I'm humble bragging here, was in the honors class, you had to read 3. All like the first book was the same for everyone, the second book was the same for everyone that had to read it, and the third book was only for the honors class. Generally, that was the good book. Like it was a book that was genuinely entertaining, had like compelling characters and an interesting story. But they only gave it to the honors kids because it generally was a bit long, and they were like, these kids don't need to read. The book that was for the standard kids and above generally was terrible. It was about one step above a magazine most of the time, and it was just like, let's see if they can at least remember what letters are over the summer. Which, again, like, not throwing any shade on like the kids that were in those classes. I knew a good number of them, and they were genuinely good and intelligent people. They could have handled a decent book that was also like not like some kind of work of fiction that was gonna like take them years to finish. They're good short books.
Yeah.
And I feel like they were just damning these kids to not want to ever read again because they just kept giving them these crappy books to read. Anyway, I could talk about that for days. But the book was called Breakout. It was short book, maybe like 80 pages total. And dear God, was it horrible. The plot centers it jumps back and forth in time. It centers around this girl who, late teens, maybe she's early 20s. I don't remember. She runs away from home. She lives in California. Runs away from home because some random teen angst that even at the time, I was a teenager at the time, and I'm like, suck it up, bitch. She she runs away from home, gets in a car, and gets on the highway. And there's some massive traffic jam, holds everyone up, and no one knows why. But during this traffic jam, she starts people watching and seeing all the folks around her, and she gets out and starts talking to them, and they start talking to each other. People, like some guy had a grill on the back of his truck, and they decide that they're going to cook food out in there. And it turns into a block party in the middle of a traffic jam, essentially. And something about this weird series of events, she doesn't, like, come to the conclusion, oh, you know, everyone's different and people are good and I should go home and make up with my family. No, she still runs away and never goes back. But in the future, she makes an art show about it and does a dramatic rendition of what happened on that day. And that's the future that it cuts back and forth to. So you have this story about a teenage runaway who is stuck in a traffic jam and meets a whole bunch of random, interesting people, and a pretentious, arty shit show in the future when that teenage runaway grows up and never learns anything. I hated that.
I think one thing we've learned from this particular podcast is that you hate any form of art.
No, I hate shitty, low-effort, pretentious art. I'm like, if you create something, even if you create something beautiful, and it didn't take effort to do, fuck off. That's not art. Okay. I think any sort of art, like the idea you had about traveling around the world, teardrops on paper, I know it was like a sarcastic sort of thing, but I'd appreciate that as art because it's a genuinely interesting concept, and it takes time and effort and care to do properly.
Yep, trying to squeeze that tear out of a Mexican lady. It's got the lemons ready.
Here, smell this onion. All right.
Exactly.
Oh my god! But yes, that should be. That's the theme of. That's the theme of this episode. I fucking hate modern art.
Oh dear. Oh,
specifically, I shouldn't say all modern, because there's probably good modern art out there. But the stuff that gets the oh my god, I can't talk.
Publicity.
The stuff that gets the publicity is the shitty, low effort, like shock value stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I took a shit on this piece of paper.
It's always a piece of paper.
It is always a piece of paper. There was a funny story I remember reading a while back. This is a mild tangent. There was a modern art exhibit, and one of the exhibits was just like a pineapple sitting on like top of a pedestal, and the janitorial staff threw it away because they thought somebody had just left a pineapple out. They didn't know it was an art exhibit.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Or there was one that was like just random refuse like on the floor, and it was supposed to talk about the waste of modern society or something like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And literally, the janitors just swept it up because they're like, "Who left all this shit on the floor?"
I can't remember if it was you, Tommy. It might have been just the news article I saw. Someone accidentally dropped their glasses on the floor, and people started like walking around
gathering around it.
An exhibit. Yeah.
You sent this to me. Yeah, you sent this to me.
Yeah. Like, wow. Yeah. Oh dear.
I mean, come on. Wake up, sheeple.
Now my Audible is full of books.
Oh yeah. By the way,
They Walked with Jesus.
Amazon has been for like this entire week. Amazon has been sending me recommendations for like shitty like hookup books and for like bad like the kind of books that are read by like horny middle-aged housewives.
Okay. Well, like, being one, you would know.
Yeah, fuck off. By the but like the kind of books that are like erotica fiction, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about it last podcast, and so I pulled up a few during the podcast, like while we were talking about it. And then
Yeah.
then during the week when I'm looking for shitty books,
Ouch.
wouldn't you know, those books show up on the shitty books list. And so now
Yeah.
Amazon thinks I really want to read these things, and I really don't.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think the podcast is quite ready for those books yet.
Oh no, no. We'll wait until we've matured a little bit. We were just talking about this.
How long is that gonna take?
I don't know.
I wonder.
We're 6 weeks in. I mean, what's podcast years? Dog years are 7.
Hmm. How long will it take us to die?
Die inside or die physically?
Die on a platform level. Mind you, we've got to live first. And...
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like we're still a fetus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Should we continue this metaphor or not? I don't think so.
I really don't want to continue this metaphor, honestly.
Oh,
Jesus. All right, so we're actually running close to the end of our time. So without dragging, I feel like we could just ramble on like this for quite a while longer. But I think we should get to final thoughts. You anything you wanna kind of end us off on, considering what we've talked about today?
Okay. I think for the next one, either I'm gonna read more into this book, or maybe we could do a book series that we know is really good next time, and get the other person to listen to that, because I know there are some that I want you to listen to. And you're reading like 4 books at once, so I'm sure there's books that you'd like
Yes.
talk about. And yes, other than that, we are but a twinkle in YouTube's eye right now.
That was a very good way to put it. Yeah, so I'll keep my final thoughts succinct. I like that idea, by the way, of like potentially taking a closer look at some good books, because books.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we should do books every other week, because otherwise
it's gonna get a little bit routine.
Yeah.
I don't want this wild card segment to become routine.
no.
It's gotta stay wild to be the wild card. Yeah, my final thoughts. I'm just gonna end by saying, yeah, fuck modern art.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone who is listening and has listened all the way to the end, for giving us your ears for the TMCJ podcast, name subject to change. I hope that you'll come back and listen to us again next week. But until then, have a
Bye bye.